Hey everybody, part two of our video on Lear's speech and just how to read Shakespeare. So, as you may or may not know, I know that I've mentioned this before. I can't recall if I've mentioned this yet this year, but Shakespeare writes in something called uh, blank verse. Blank verse is like heroic verse. If you remember from Chaucer, heroic verse is iambic pentameter, 5 beat lines in rhyming couplets. So blank verse is like that. It's 5 beat lines in iambic feet, but it's unrhymed. Okay, so maybe we'll italicize that for fun. Okay, so it's 5 beat lines, but it's unrhymed, and it's known as blank verse. So instead of couplets, it's unrhymed, and so it's exactly the same as heroic verse, what Chaucer was writing in 200 years and a little bit more since or prior to Shakespeare. So if we look at the speech we were looking at in the last video, meantime we shall express our darker purpose. Give me the map there. Know that we have divided in 3 our kingdom, and 'tis our fast intent to shake all cares and business from our age, conferring them on younger strengths, while we unburdened crawl toward death. So the idea, again, as I mentioned in the last video, is to read this as naturally as possible. So it's not, you're not trying to create an effect, you're simply trying to read it uh, as normal language and let its own rhythms dictate how you read it. So I'm going to use that symbol there to recognize or to represent a beat where an emphasis would be. So if we take this first line and we say, meantime, we shall express our darker purpose. Meantime, we shall express our darker purpose. So you can hear the beats. Meantime, it puts a period there for some reason, I don't know why. Meantime, we shall express our darker purpose. Okay, so there's our 5 beats. Meantime, we shall express our darker purpose. Meantime, we shall express our darker purpose. Okay, so that's a fairly natural rhythm. The next line would be, give me the map there. Know that we have divided. Okay, so give is obviously an emphasized word because it's a command, right? Give me give me the map. Okay, so that's what you're going to give. Again, usually the words that are emphasized are words that are important to the overall meaning of the sentence. So words like it or the or a are not usually emphasized, unless, of course, in the odd context in which they're actually important for the meaning, but normally they're not. So it's usually nouns or verbs that are emphasized. So give me the map there. And here again is another command, know. It's like give, know. Know that we, there's that royal we again. Give me the map. Give me the map. Know we have, now this is 3 syllables, divided, divided, divided. So it's in the second syllable. So there's our next 5 beats. And if we read this, it sounds pretty natural. Meantime, we shall express our darker purpose. Give me the map there. Know that we have divided. You can hear the beats, right? In 3 our kingdom, and 'tis our fast intent. We have divided in 3. So you, again, right, you're running the lines over. So this line here runs over into this line. The term for that, if you're interested, is called enjambment, and it's spelled like this, enjambment. Okay, so it's the running of meaning over the ends of line. So we have divided in 3. So clearly the word in is not important, even though the first syllable in these 2 lines was. Divided in 3 are kingdom, and 'tis our fast intent. So you can really hear it there, right? And 'tis our fast intent. So there's our 5 lines. In 3 our kingdom, and 'tis our fast intent. So this line is perfect. Is with the exception of right here where you have two. Right here you have 2 unemphasized syllables, unstressed syllables. This is almost a perfect iambic line. Da dump, da dump, da. So it's actually da dump, da dump, da da dump, da dump, da dump. So right there you have unstressed, unstressed, stressed, which is, I believe, a dactylic foot. It's not that important. The point is basically it's a 5-beat line. And then once you get going, it becomes quite easy, right? Our fast intent to shake all cares and business from our age. To shake all cares and business from our age. That's a perfect iambic line. Da-dump, 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 da-dump. Perfect iambic line right there. There's a punctuation mark here at the end of this line, so that be a pause. You wouldn't enjam those lines. Conferring, so clearly there, conferring them on younger strengths, while we, again, we, royal we, conferring them on younger strengths, while we, another perfect iambic line, okay, while we, and we're going to, here again, we're going to enjam, right, while we unburden, so it continues the iambic foot, right, unburden, crawl, toward, probably toward wouldn't be, so unburden, crawl, toward, yeah, I guess you could, burden, crawl, toward death. Yeah, we could talk, yeah, unburden, crawl, toward death. Yeah, that works. Now, the ... here shows that it's an incomplete line, that I've not included the entire line. So we won't get 5 beats is what I'm saying. But if you look at this, we get a pretty good scan, what's called, we're scanning the poem, we're measuring the meter, we're evaluating the meter. And it reads pretty good. I think this is a good scan of this part. Meantime, we shall express our darker purpose. Give me the map there. Know that we have divided in 3 our kingdom. 'Tis our fast intent to shake all cares and business from our age, conferring them on younger strengths, while we, unburdened, crawl toward death. So that's how iambic pentameter works. And you can do this throughout the entire play. One thing I will mention is you'll notice that in Act 3 particular, but also even earlier, no, I think actually this is still in Act 3, but when Lear begins to lose his mind in the storm, and also when Edgar is pretending to be insane as poor Tom, they start speaking in paragraphs. So Lear speaks in this nice poetry, this lovely iambic pentameter at the beginning of the play, but when he starts to lose his sanity, especially in Act 3 and into Act 4, he starts to speak in paragraphs. In other words, he doesn't speak in poetry anymore, which an audience in Elizabethan England would pick up on. They would be more tuned to the rhythms of poetic speech than say we are. And so they would see that as evidence that he's not sane. Right? He's no longer, his mind is not disciplined enough to speak in rhythmic poetry. It now resorts to sort of paragraphs where he's just kind of spitting things out and not shaping it and making it sort of sonically attractive. So often in Shakespearean plays, when people start speaking in paragraphs, it means either that they're not in their right minds, or if they are characters of lower social status. So, for example, the porter in Macbeth, or in Hamlet, at times, some of the, I'm trying to think in Hamlet if there's a character who's of lower social status. Not really. Hamlet will speak in paragraphs when he's pretending to be insane. But in Lear, you get Lear speaking in paragraphs when he's losing his mind, but also Edgar when he's pretending to be insane, when he's pretending to be poor Tom. So you get either characters who are not of firm mind, or you get characters who are of lower social status, and they were assumed not to be as educated or as noble, and so therefore would speak in a kind of common language. We didn't do A Midsummer Night's Dream, but there's a group of characters in Midsummer Night's Dream who are workmen, they're craftsmen, they're laborers, and their speech is almost entirely in paragraph form. They don't speak in blank verse, and when they try to, it's often funny because they get the words wrong. They I resemble that remark instead of I resent that remark, that kind of stuff. Or, excuse me. So there's a quick scan, and you can practice this if you're reading the original version, but it's definitely worth taking a look at. So I hope that helps. I hope that's clear, and I hope it reminds you a little bit of our study of sonnets in grade 11. That's all I have to say.